All right, good morning. This is a neat one here, a little case study. I'm trying to see if I can order the way I record this to also be a in-class diagnostic case study video, but I'll see how this pans out. Actually, I think I'll do it that way. Okay, so 2000 Acura TL. My customer, here we are. So went and got gas, filled the tank up, and went home. A few moments later, went to start the car, and it would, and here's specificity here, it would crank, but would not start. So what I'm going to do now is fill a little moments of fluff so I can hit pause. But the question now is, where do we start? With fuel injected cars, we could start anywhere. We have to eliminate all probabilities for a crank no start. So we're eliminating, the starting system now. And as we run through this in class all the time, we're looking for what? Air, fuel, spark, timing. So wherever we start with this would be where we start. So I'm going to say with air, I could start to either disassemble the intake and peek through and make sure there are no obstructions. I could do a cranking vacuum test, kind of give me an idea of whether the engine's breathing. Pulling out the vacuum gauge or disassembling the intake, those would be my hurdles. With ignition, I would be testing for spark. But before we disconnect anything, obviously, we probably want to make sure that the dwell signals to the coil packs are being delivered to the ignition system. So I would probably back probe a coil or two just to make sure that the PCM is attempting to fire them. That way I don't inadvertently fix a connection problem before. That connection, that problem for it to crank and not start would have to be common to all of them. So that would be spark. Okay. We could do the same thing with fuel injection. Make sure that they're all powered up. With the latter two, fuel injection and ignition, we'd have to look up schematics, component locations, connector pinout diagrams. So those are hurdles there. And with fuel injection, we have the issue of fuel delivery. So then there is the fuel pump and its related connections, controls, and wiring. So schematics again, finding out where the components are, their connectors, and the terminal position. So in each one of these, obviously, that's what we'd have to do. So we can pick anywhere to start. So here's what I tried to do over the phone when the customer called. My familiarity and those who are familiar with Hondas. The program fuel injection has a peculiar compound relay called the main relay. And it's supposed to, when you turn on the key, it's supposed to turn on the computer and the fuel pump and some ancillary devices, okay? When you turn the ignition on. So being that one of its jobs is to turn on the fuel pump, they are known to fail where they just won't work. They have a characteristic click, and hopefully you'll hear it. I'll put the camera down here somewhere. Hopefully you'll hear it. But when I turn on the ignition here, okay, if you can hear it, it'll actually click when the check engine light goes off. It's kind of simultaneous here. So I believe the check engine light's in this third dial gauge over here. Let's see. Don't know if you heard that. So the check engine light is top left. Click. All right, so that works. Something else here that you're seeing is the immobilizer light flashing. The immobilizer system was introduced in '97 in the Prelude, little different system. Had a learning key that was used to program the transponder keys. Ever since, the Honda diagnostic scan tools had a mode where they could program the immobilizer to recognize transponders. Okay, so this key has a chip in it, and the ignition has a little receiver around it. The immobilizer system, if it recognizes the key, the green light will come on steady and then go off. If it doesn't recognize it, it'll start blinking with the ignition on. So if we look here now, you'll see that it stays on and then it goes out. So it likes the key. If it didn't, it'd be blinking now. And it's confirmation that the key that started the car was the correct one. It should blink 5 times when you shut the ignition off. So I asked him for this information over the phone. He gave it to me, and that kind of led me to believe that we're probably dealing with something else. All right, so he got this towed to me, and we're here now. So I think other things that I could check. Visual inspection, obviously, we talk about that a lot. I'm going to go in here. He needs hood struts too, if I remember correctly. Hopefully this thing stays up to it. It doesn't want to. Alright, so we're going to grab it to help it. Let's see what I'll just use one of these. I wonder if that'll work. Hopefully it's not too tall. TikTok. Alright, so and the joys of working on newer cars that they are just very well dressed nowadays. So all these covers and prettiness. So I'd have to take that off to even start to get to ignition coils and injectors, which isn't a problem. I just, one of the things, okay, so the air intake is right there. I could peek in there. This car does have an antiquated traction control system where the airflow is restricted, okay, to limit engine power by a second butterfly valve here. That's your throttle one over there. The second one, depending on whether the traction control system detects loss of traction, okay, it will close the airflow, reducing power. So technically, do I believe that these systems have malfunctions? I really don't, because if they did, I should have seen a check engine light, which we did not have. Ease. I think what I'm going to do, taking that apart, I wouldn't really be able to see, and I don't think I have a malfunction there. Taking all that stuff off to check my ignition coils and injectors will be necessary at some point in our diagnostics. But one of the things that I can do, it seems pretty easy right there, is to check fuel pressure. That's the fuel filter there, and it has its little banjo fitting and a bolt, and on top of the bolt, see if we can see that clearly, on top of the lock bolt, with my finger. Okay, so this is the lock bolt. Okay, it's a little funny little fitting here. Okay, 17 flats go across there, but it has a little test port up top. This little bolt here, the sealing bolt, is for the fuel pump, and so I can crack that, I believe. Crack that open. And, I hope it's a 12. I hope it's a 12. Alright, so what I'm going to attempt to do now, before I dig out my, let me zoom back out here so we can get to this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to crack this. Alright, and it should be under pressure. I'm not too happy that it's not oozing out. One of the first things I should do here is disconnect the battery. But see, what I need to do is, okay, so I don't have any fuel squirting out, and I do want to put my fuel pressure gauge here. Let me go get that and pause here and come back. Okay, so something interesting. Before I went and got my gauge, will this work? I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see if I can get it to autofocus. All right. Chew. Pardon me. All right, so something I did notice. Remember I said that there was actually no fuel pressure? I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's not good. So let's see if I can keep you guys here and do something. Wide angle. Can't reach it. Alright, maybe we can see it through here. Yeah, there he is. Okay. So right above the wrench there is the port. It's open now. And I'm going to... Okay, well, this was actually not advisable. I kind of had an inkling when no fluid, no fuel even oozed out of what should have been somewhat pressurized fuel line. Okay. Basically, what's happening here is I have no fuel pressure. Car won't start without fuel pressure, so I'm going to put this back. There is no fuel pressure at all. I mean, we're not even talking about it not being enough to run the engine. Nothing. The fuel pump is not. Well, let me not put that. Fuel pressure is not being generated. Okay. So whether the pump's not coming on, whether the pump's not working, there we're going to have to go. So a lot of what I was talking about before, you can pick whatever path you want to go down. You just have to make sure that all parts of the system are working as designed, and then, by process of elimination, find out where your fault is. So I could have gone anywhere. I could have gone intake, and I could have gone ignition. I could have gone injection. I just chose fuel because it was right there, quick and easy. And we seem to have found a little bit of an issue. Okay, so now I have to go and find schematics for my fuel pump, which will probably take a little bit, so I'm not going to bore you with that. When I get them, we'll come back. Okay, so a couple of things here. Let's focus, will you? Alright, so I did already have, I don't know if you can see this, I did have the schematic up for the main relay, the one I was clicking. Okay, now it is fed by fuse 22 for the fuel pump. Okay, and then when the relay turns on, it sends it to the fuel pump. Let's see, via yellow. Alright, so I'm going to go through the next diagram here. And the yellow comes in here and to yet another fuel pump relay. Alright, so we have the main relay over there and another one here. It's in the front of the trunk. So, front of the trunk, blah, blah, blah. I had to go looking. Here's a lot of what ends up happening that you have to do. There's a lot of component location work that has to get done. It takes quite a fair amount of time to get the information you need to work on these cars. And if you're not willing to put the effort in, you might as well call it quits. All right, so don't know if you can see that there. Okay, but this is a picture of the trunk, and somewhere floating in space there is my fuel pump relay. Okay, so I kind of know its orientation. Like to know what it would look like, and so I had to do a little bit more digging. And somewhere over here, I believe, I found a picture of it. So it says front of the trunk. So I guess I've got to go in there and remove some panels and see if I find this thing. All right, so I'll be right back. Okay, so not too infrequently, the car is used by the customers, and this is not too bad, really. There's some times where you really have to offload the vehicle. All right, so my relay is going to be down behind this felt lining here somewhere, so I'm going to have to remove some clips here and get to it. So give me a second. All right, so it's not pretty. Let's see. Alright, so there it is. And maybe I can slide that. It's a little retaining bracket there. So the wire I'm looking for is the yellow wire that goes in there. So I've got my little, it's unique, I got a LED test light. And this has a little bit in the way of precautions you have to remember when using it. Alright, what is this? Let's see if I can see my wires. I might have to take that off, or maybe not. I'm going to take that off. It's a little shield, extra shield. I'm going to take that off. I am going to back probe the yellow wire here. Probably can get in there. Oh, much ado. Like, find what I did. There we go. Stab yourself. Alright, so I'm going to bring my test light in here. Hopefully I got you guys all in frame. I'm going to find a good ground. There is a bolt that goes through metal there. Okay. So I'm going to tack onto the bolt thread. And while it probably wasn't the ground bolt, it's gone through actual metal there. And I am going to probably have to leave you guys here to watch this for me while I go turn on the key. So I'm going to try and poke this in there, leave you guys set up, and let me set this up and I'll leave you guys here to watch it while I cycle the key. Okay, so even though lighting in here is poor, there is a red LED. I don't know if you got the glare. Okay, there's a red LED in there, and I have it back probed at the yellow wire. So what I'm going to attempt to do is leave you guys here in darkness as my witness. There you go. I'm going to go cycle the key, and you guys should see if that light comes on. Alright. So that's on. It should be the LED now. It probably blinked and went out. On. And let me see if I can run back there and see what you guys see. Well, I didn't see anything. I'm guessing neither did you guys. So, and just for clarity's sake, see if I can't show you a circuit that is on. And what you should have seen, I back probed the, well, we're all in here struggling. Not a lot of room. You guys are seeing nothing now. At least if I'm gonna struggle, you should probably see something. Alright, here we go. So I do believe my red wire up there, red and green, is control side power, and oops, you're not looking. Okay, so there we go. That's what it should have looked like. Okay, so I'm guessing you guys didn't get that at all. See that's what it should have looked like. So so I'm not getting power here. I'm gonna leave this open. Confirm I have power when I fix this. So, all right. So now, if I don't have power there, it kind of means I might have a. Oh, look, looky. All right. Turn the key off. All right, here we go. So if I didn't have power there, so this is where we were. So there's power here, and if I go back, I do believe they come from the same fuse. So fuse 20. Alright, so fuse 22 here. Alright, supplies both our red wire that's at the fuel pump relay over there, and then comes down into the main relay and sends power to the pump. So the red white wire that we had power on was a control circuit power. This was the slave circuit power to the pump. I got no power there. So unless I have an open between here and the pump, I have power there because that's a fuse. I didn't check if I had power there though. Probably should do that. So I should check B5 because just because I have power there, it means that the fuse is good, but doesn't guarantee I have connection there. That's the under dash fuse box, and with my luck, C404 here is inaccessible. But if I have to check it, I would have to check it. But I could confirm power at B5. Then I need to confirm power at A2. So B5 would mean that I had power to the main relay. Power at A2 would mean that I have power leaving the main relay for the pump, and we just came from pin 3. Pin 2 we saw lit up the test light. Pin 3 did not. So if I have power coming out of that, I might have an open. So let's go look at the main relay. Let's go look at the main relay. So I'm looking at B5. I probably need a connector view here. All right, let me get a connector view so I know, even though I know what these are, apparently A and B means there are two connectors to PGM-FI relay. And I need to know which one is A, which one is B, and then find these colors. Okay, so I printed out the connector views. I don't know why it won't focus now, but alright, so we have two connectors, a 4-pin connector A and 8-pin connector B. And so the things I'm looking for are A2, which is yellow, so A2 yellow, 2 fuel pump, and then B5, which is from fuse 22. So I'm going to go down there. I've already pulled it down because I got tired of you guys not being able to see what I'm doing. Alright, so similar to one of the connectors. Oh, I'm dirty. That's not going to work. Where was I? Oh, I kind of need to get my test light, don't I? Alright. Come out of here. There we go. Alright, so, I will say this about my test light. It's an LED test light, and there are pros and cons to using this. One of the definite cons is, unlike halogen test lights, if you connect this backwards and you do not pay attention to the test you were doing and what tool you were using, you will continue to misdiagnose the problem because LEDs are diodes. They're light emitting diodes, but they're still diodes, which means they restrict current flow in one direction. So if you connect them in that direction, they won't light up. And if you're thinking you're using a regular test light, that would be a false positive or negative depending on what you were testing for. So I have this. It was a novelty. I saw it. I got it. And every time I use it, I just have to be cognizant of what I'm doing. I do have the others, but they're this was the closest one. So I just grabbed it since I want to confirm power. At some point now, if I want to confirm how much voltage I have, I'll probably do something different. All right, so I'm going to take this key out so it doesn't drive me nuts. I'm going to find a good ground, if I can, under here. I should be able to. A lot of bracketry and whatnot. A lot of bolts for the steering column and whatnot. I should be able to find something that'll work. There we go. Right there. Okay. So I'm going to make sure I got a good ground there. Alright, so I might need to bring that key back and make noise. Fuse 22, I don't remember if it was on all the time or not, but I'm going to turn the ignition on. And, alright, so if you guys remember correctly, alright, so we were looking for yellow, pin 2, and 5, B5. So I've seen them already. See if I can get you guys to see them. Alright, so B5 is this guy right here. And the yellow I want is this one in the corner there. So let me see if I can't backload B5 gingerly. Get in there. Come on. I don't see anything. Am I touching it? Hopefully I am, because there's nothing like thinking, oh look, that's it, open, and then you go looking for the open and you realize that you have just spent a lot of time chasing a false lead. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see that. Where is it? Alright, so that lit. So B5 was going in. And I need to make sure. Now the thing about this, gotta make sure this is in there correctly. That's in the second one, which is A2. I need for you guys to see this. The fuel pump is only kept on if the engine's running. It does a self-check, okay, to start, but then, so I'm gonna have to cycle the key and see if it does a self-check again. Uh-oh. Am I in there? It's interesting that your view is actually the best to use here. Yes. So it's actually touching the F clip. And so I'm gonna show you guys. I'm gonna cycle the key and you can hear it click because we're right here. Alright, so fundamentally this is actually a very good thing for two reasons. One, we found that there's a fault with the main relay. But two is something that I actually fall victim to, and I warn my students and I try to remind myself not to fall victim to, is falling back on the crutch of your experience. So that main relay is clicking, but it obviously is not making the power connection to the fuel pump delivery, the power delivery line. And experience typically has told me that most of the times when that relay is clicking, it's fine. Had I confirmed it before moving on, I would have saved myself quite a bit of time going back there and checking that other relay. But it appears we do not have a good connection on the inside of that relay. So I'm going to take it out, get a replacement, and see what we got. Alright, so get this thing to focus in. Alright, so I've got the replacement here. So this is the faulty one on the left here, and this is our new one on the right. And every now and again I like to do this. Take stuff apart just to see if we can see something obvious. Let's see if I can get you guys to hold that. Let's see if I can do it. Let's find out. Yeah. So, in wanting to make the video content ever, I have not done videos thinking that I need X, Y, Z. And I read somewhere that you'll never be 100% ready, so just start. So here are our compound relays, and so our pin 5 is, let's see if I can get you guys to see it here. Okay, bottom row there, over here. That bottom row, that from the left, second pin, and that would go in, okay, through the circuit board here. So it would be this guy. Oh look, it's hot right there. So if I'm not mistaken, a second in, so this guy goes from here to here. I'm looking at a little discoloration there. And from there, who knows where it goes. It's on the other side here. Needless to say, two was the top right in there on the way out. So it's connection between these compound relays. Somewhere in the sauce, we got power lost. And so now we're going to take our replacement here. And what I should do is plug it in, back probe 2 again, and see if we have power going to the pump. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rejoice in finding it. If you guys are here when I guess I have to eat crow, all the better for me. But I'm just going to plug it in and start it. Now, my customer commutes to Delaware, and he's supposed to be leaving this evening. He called me actually last week when it happened for the first time, and it'd be, I guess, let's do this the right way, Faye. We're right here, right? Okay. I'm gonna go through the motions. Alright. So, I believe I'm in it too. And that's the LED. I'll turn the key on, and there it is. You guys can see it? That's my LED. And I can hear the pump in the back going kunk. So here's what I'm going to do now. I want to start. I got a different problem. Won't crank. Let's see what I did. Did I unplug anything up front? I don't know. I don't think I did. Turning the key all the way might help. But I don't know if you guys can tell. She's running, and that's what I was talking about earlier. You can see now that the LED stays on, as opposed to when it does the check. See, it turns on for a couple seconds and goes out, and that click has typically been an indication that the relay is working, but as you guys can see, that's not the case. Now, I really don't like that little stuttering it does when it starts, but I wonder if that's it purging air from the line. Let's try it one more time, see what we got. Yeah, I don't like that too much. Alright, well, we've got it running. You can diagnose that little stumble if he would like to, but at least now his car's running. And being a 2000, I'm going to tell you right now, that cold starter